U.S. Venture is revising its relocation plans into downtown Appleton. The company says they will now buy the 222 building on College Avenue and move its headquarters there. The 222 building originally housed the Aid Association for Lutherans, now known as Thrive-In. U.S. Venture had originally planned to build a completely new building in Lawrence Drive, but abandoned that plan due to high construction prices, interest rates, and the excess availability of office space in the area. Appleton Mayor Jake Woodford says such a large company in the heart of Appleton proved that the company values its hometown and the people in it. He also says the move will bring hundreds of people to the central district for the city. U.S. Venture is currently housed in Kimberly.